It's the 18th of March 2008. I'm 6,000 kilometres from home and tomorrow is the big day. I've been waiting for it for so long. I really hope it's going to work. I'm McGrath and I'm 18 and I'm from Kilkenny. I live with my mum and dad and my 12-year-old brother. My mum's a travel agent and dad is an engineer, but I think he's a bit of an inventor. I'm aware that my upbringing has been a little bit unusual, but I think I'm lucky that way. My dad's always been, really involved in trying to let me know how things work and always, saying, hey, come out and look at this. This is the phone inside out or something, just put it back together again. I got really interested in the idea of sustainable energy when I visited a local sawmill that's powered by one single water wheel. That kind of inspired me to do my latest Young Scientist project. I've been doing the Young Scientist competition since I was 14, and over the years I've won 4 awards. This year, my Young Scientist project was the design for a pressure stove for use in the developing world. It's much more fuel efficient, it's more water efficient, reduces the indoor air pollution dramatically, it keeps the nutrients in the food much more. My design won the Science for Development Award. This meant that as part of my prize, I was going to get the opportunity to test my stove in Ethiopia, where the second biggest killer is indoor air pollution from cooking fires. I don't plan on saving the world or anything, but just if there is a chance that you could make a difference, then I'll be happy. And it's worth a try. Everything's worth a try. Okay, so this is it. This is the stove. It's basically just a tubular form of the pressure stove. So you put your food and your water in here, replace the pressure top, make sure it's pressure tight. The safety bit keeps it from turning into a bomb and the pressure top exploding off it. And then there's another safety valve on the top that'll release the steam as the pressure gets higher. So this is the combustion chamber. You put your sticks and your fuel or whatever in there and you light it. Then you put your chimney on, so that keeps the fire burning up high enough, just like a chimney. So when the fire is going strong, you put in your cooker and then it heats the cooker, and after about 15 minutes, well 5 minutes it should be boiling, and then about 15 minutes you'll have your food cooked or whatever. So that's it. So tomorrow I'm going off to Ethiopia to field test my stove. The stove itself was sent off weeks ago and I've no idea if it got there or not. I'll find out soon enough, I guess. I didn't really think about it until now. Even saying it, you still don't think you're going. Don't really know what to expect. I was going to be travelling with a group of students and teachers who were representing schools that had raised money for Africa. My trip was being sponsored by Irish Aid, the government's overseas aid programme, but it was being organised by Patsy Toland of Self Help Africa.
Have a ball.
You crazy woman. See ya. First 2 hours of the flight I spent throwing up, so that was great fun. So then I slept and now I'm really, really sleepy, so can't wait till we get to Addis.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, a very welcome to Ethiopia, where the local time here at Addis is now just approaching 2:30 in the morning on the 16th of March.
Food and cooking were obviously going to be a big part of my trip, and my first taste of African food was a huge breakfast laid on by the hotel. I don't know how African it really was. While I'd catch up with the group later on, my plans were a bit different to theirs. I needed to find out a bit about how people lived and cooked in the city, so I headed off across Addis Ababa, Ethiopia's capital. I hooked up with Sister Celestina, who works with a number of Irish Aid projects in the more deprived areas of town. She started by taking me to a small backstreet market and showing me some of the ingredients they use in their cooking.
And here, this is beetroot.
Oh, beetroot.
Beetroot. And here, people believe, because it's red, it gives blood.
It gives blood?
Yeah. And there's the potatoes, and there's ginger.
There was nothing really unusual about most of the food I saw, but the fuel was pretty weird. It was cow dung.
This is just pure cow dung, and they use it for firewood.
Does it burn faster than
It does, it does.
But it
It's
makes
very
more
good.
smoke.
Less smoke,
Less smoke?
Less
Yeah?
smoke. Less smoke.
I don't want to touch it.
No, it's not dirty anymore. It doesn't smell, actually.
No, it
It's
doesn't,
very
it
nice.
doesn't,
Yeah,
yeah.
because it's dry now. So they
Yeah.
use it for cooking. So we're trying to do what we can.
Then I was brought to a small house where I got my first glimpse of life in the inner city.
Well, this is what is called injera. It looks like a little bit like a pancake, and it's a traditional food of the people here. They eat it every day, morning, afternoon, and night. This woman here now is making it on the electric oven because she's going to sell it. That's her own trade. She makes it to sell. That's why she has to buy that. Traditional is made in the mud oven, but with the local oven, it takes time to make. And it's more time-consuming, and the heat is too much. And it takes only about 3 to 5 minutes to cook. That's it.
Injera is a staple food generally eaten with a kind of stew called wat. And this is what I was due to be demonstrating in a few days' time. Cooking the stew should be no problem for my stove, but as far as injera was concerned, well, maybe that would be my next project.
And as you can see, this house is completely ruined. It's really completely dilapidated.
When you like that, does the... Although cooking methods in the city were beginning to improve, most people still had no electricity, running water, or real storage system.
But that is toilet. Mind you, don't fall in. That's toilet. Believe it or not. People use it.
The people, I just can't get over how nice they are. And they're so friendly. Can I take your picture? Yes? Somebody was saying that they're really worried because there's holes in their roof and because the rainy season's coming in June, and all my friends are like giving out that the leaving cert's coming in June, and that's what they're worried about, and it's so bad. I don't know. It had been a really intense day, and we'd been on the road since first thing in the morning. So tonight we were going to celebrate Paddy's Day a day early, and African style. The food was class, and I felt for the first time I was getting a real taste of Ethiopia. While the city has its own issues, my big challenge, and the true test of my stove, was going to be in a more remote rural area called Sodo in 3 days' time. So the next morning, I rejoined the group and began the long journey south into the African countryside. First, we were going to visit a rural cooperative where local women design and build stoves in an attempt to deal with the issues of fuel efficiency and indoor pollution. The traditional rural stoves are barely more than a campfire with a hot plate. The improved stoves consisted of a kind of brick hearth, which the women had designed and built themselves. I wanted to know if there were more improvements that they'd like to see. So I met Ababa Amene of Self-Help, who introduced me to Mastawat, one of the local women who makes the stoves. If there's one thing that you could change or make a little bit better, is there anything?
The previous one, the traditional one, it is time taking and it consumes a lot of firewood. So it is very difficult to work on that because it gives you a lot of heat and smoke, so it doesn't conserve any energy and it is damaging also environment. I wish if it is also more improvement in the improved stuff, because now as you have seen it, when we cook the soup over here on the top of this, it has a smell of smoke. I wish if there is a means to remove that smell of smoke from this dish. And also I wish if there is a means to improve and to avoid this smoke completely, because it damages our eyes.
Your eyes and your chest?
Yeah, I know it, I feel it, but there is no means.
When I was researching, I chatted with Ababa afterwards, and she told me that there were many reasons to improve the quality of the stoves.
Most of the children are burned because of the stove. You know, there are flames, as you have seen it, the traditional one. So it has flames in all directions. So when children pass, they get fire. It affects everybody's life.
Their whole days are basically spent around cooking and using the stove, yeah?
The traditional one, they spend almost a whole day in cooking. They have to cook the traditional bread, they have to cook the sauce, they have to boil tea, they have to boil coffee. That means the whole day they are in smoke. So if they get improved stove, that means they have time to work other activities like farming, like looking the children. So stove means a lot of things to African wives.
If the traditional stoves took up a day of the women's time, and the improved one half a day, I wondered what my stove could do, and if it could make a difference to the women's lives. Here's my stove. I hadn't seen my stove since it had left Ireland a few weeks before, so I was pretty relieved when it turned up at the hotel. When I found out I was going to Africa, we built a new, more sophisticated version. The only problem was we hadn't had time to test it properly back in Ireland. There's legs as well, I think. There should be legs. I think there's legs missing. Okay. Oh wait, they could be inside. Legs. That was not for anyone's entertainment. My relief over the legs didn't last long. I think I left my pressure plug on the other bus, and the bus could be gone. So let's check what's in this bag. The pressure plug is a safety ring that bolts onto the top of the stove and ensures that the top doesn't blow off during cooking. Pressurising the stove without it would be just too risky. I don't see a bus. I don't think it's there. Okay, I think that's trouble. Really soon we're testing the stove in front of a whole load of women, and they're going to either tell me they like it or they don't. So that's why I'm really eager to do a test run tomorrow to make sure everything's working okay, and I'll be with my friends, so there'll be no one kind of judging or looking or having much expectations or anything. So hopefully that'll go okay, and then everything will work out for Sodo in a few days' time. Be exciting, and hopefully everything goes to plan once we find the plug on the bus. I had a really frustrating morning trying to find the pressure plug, and it still hadn't turned up. That's the plug. This meant that I had to do the test without pressurising the stove, so I didn't even know if it was going to work. I grabbed a few volunteers to help me fire it up and see if we could brew up a bit of herbal tea. Okay, yeah. Everyone stand back. It's too much. Okay. Oh, the stress at all. Well, that didn't go according to plan at all. I was not used to fuel here. I'd never used anything like this before. There was so much wind, and between the chimney and the firebox there needs to be a little hole for air to get in, but I had it open way too much. Really hope this is going to go better tomorrow. Like, you're trying to make tea out of it, aren't you? It's fine, is it? Strap it. Uh-oh. I don't know, just... all went wrong, but okay, things go wrong and you learn from them, so at least they won't go wrong again.
We'll put in there or in the glass?
There's a straw in the teapot. I actually have to drink it now because this isn't...
Cheers, here.
Tomorrow was going to be the big day in Sodo, and when I sat down to write my diary that night, I found it really hard to concentrate. I'd learned something from the test, but because of the missing pressure plug, I had to resign myself to the fact that when it really mattered, the stove wasn't going to be half as efficient as it should be. I'm really tired, and yeah, I don't know, I just want to go on the bus and get to wherever we're going, I guess. We're going to Sodo to test the whole cooker thing, which I don't know, I don't even know if it's going to work properly, but I boiled water yesterday, but I don't know, I'm way too tired to even think about it now, so after an hour's sleep on the bus I might be able to think about it properly. Everyone expects something, but I'm not really sure if I can produce it right now. But I'm just trying my best to see what happens. This was it. We were on our way to Sodo to demonstrate the stove. I was worried that even if they liked it, there was always the problem of whether they could build it here or not. On our way, we stopped at a co-op and were given a fantastic welcome by the locals. We were there to have a look at some of their farming equipment, and thankfully, my worrying about building the stove didn't last long. At last, some good news.
Have a look at this Tara. This locally is known as a treadle pump, and this is metalworking, very much like what your own stove is about, you know. When you look at these parts here, this is very common. It's used all over, and they have obviously milling, and this is great to look. You can see that they have the ability to create cylinders.
And join them.
Yeah. The welding joints and all the rest are really good. So I mean, I think all the skills, or nearly all the skills that were in the basic stove that you have are all available here, you know.
I don't want to go in and be like, oh, my stove is like better than yours, because like the stuff that they're doing is class, like the clay stoves. So I don't know.
But you have an advantage that I don't have, because you're a woman as well.
Yeah.
And they'll listen to you. This will be a big change for them too, for a woman to come with a new idea for women.
Yeah.
They'll respect you for what you're doing. And as they look to that role model you're showing them, women can do anything, you know, which is what it's all about here.
The news about the water pump gave me the boost I needed, and while most of the bus headed off to its next destination, I hopped into the Jeep and headed off in the other direction, with my heart in my mouth. The village in Sodo was small and miles from anywhere. Families live in groups of small houses, each of which serve a different purpose. I'd been invited by a lady, Almaz, to demonstrate my stove in the house the family uses as a kitchen. Well, this is what it all came down to, so really excited now. Yesterday was tough, but sure, you learn from your mistakes. Just go for it and hope for the best. I can't find the safety thing, so we're going to have to leave this completely open instead of using it pressurised, but it should have the same effect. It'll just take a bit longer. It's not the end of the world. Alma's had asked some of the women from the village to watch the demo. Okay. This wasn't doing anything for my nerves. But first things first, I had to get the stove lit. That's okay, it's perfect. The stove caught quickly and reached temperature using very little fuel. I was delighted. So far, so good. Actually, do you have water?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have, yeah.
You don't need very much. That's perfect, that's okay.
Do you want to do it like this?
Yeah. Although I really should have been making a stew, I can't cook to save my life. I reckon that boiling up a few spuds was a safe bet. Yeah? That's perfect. Because of the safety plug isn't there, I'm just going to leave that open. So you'll see the steam coming up when it boils. As we sat down to wait for it to boil, I was aware of how weird my stove looked in these surroundings. Will you ask them, do they think I'm crazy?
ምንድን ነው የምትላቸው? You are not crazy. This is your result of your education, they said. Honestly.
Cool. So at least I'm not crazy for now. It might not work, but...
Are we going to eat plain potato? Or are we going to have something with it? Asking me.
Us Irish aren't very adventurous, so we're not as cool as you with your chilies and stuff. I don't think they were too impressed with my culinary skills, but so far, my stove was working, and the women were quick to notice the difference.
What they say, so this is smokeless machine.
Yeah?
Because we didn't see any smoke in this. So I'd like to have one.
Wow.
You know? We are surprised, they said, you know.
I thought it was smoking a little bit there, so... Do you see, that's steam now.
Yeah,
it's not smoke, so... I was still kind of freaked by the thought of the top blowing off and punching a hole in the roof, so I decided to call a halt to the demo. Does anyone have water? Can you put it out? No, in here. Fire. Stand back. They're not going to be cooked. Not without the pressure cap. They smell like potatoes anyway, so we'll see what happens. I really wish I'd cut up the spuds. They're not exactly 100% done. Not quite cooked, but the women seem to get it.
Yeah, if there is a pressure is inside, so it will cook fast. We know that. She said. We'll not throw it, we'll cook it and we'll eat it.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, I told them if God allows, maybe she will bring a smokeless stove to you also one day. It works very well, yeah. They prove. They are very happy. I'm very happy to see you. To see beautiful girl like you also.
I couldn't believe it. After all the things that had gone wrong, it had actually worked. It could have been better, but it had worked, and the women loved it. For me, my stove was successful over there. It cooked faster, it used less fuel, and produced less smoke. And the people there saw it. The reaction of the women in Soto kind of spoke for itself. The loss of the pressure plug had meant that I hadn't been able to fully pressurise the stove. That meant there was one thing still left for me to do. I was really annoyed that I didn't get to cook stew in Ethiopia, so this is going to prove that I really can cook in this. See, I know I could do it.
La 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 la